toxic masculinity.
Justice Clarence Thomas wants social media regulate like utilities.
Yeah,
Like-
Clarence Thomas wants to regulate social media like utilities, which is something I've been saying on the show forever. So, Clarence Thomas, clearly you watch the show. I'm a big fan. No, I don't think Clarence Thomas watches the show, but that would be amazing, wouldn't it? All right, so let's have a look at this story. This man, who is clearly a legend, says he suggests that Facebook and Twitter could be regulated by utilities. You think? Yeah, a lot of people have been saying this. Clarence Thomas, it's funny because usually the Supreme Court justices, they don't come out with policy ideas themselves. They just rule on other people's policies. In fact, it's very rare that a Supreme Court justice will express an idea about what they think other branches of government should be doing. So this is actually quite a phenomenal thing for him to do this. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas appeared to signal that big tech firms could be regulated after Facebook and Twitter suspended President Donald Trump earlier this year. Thomas, who is considered a conservative on the high court, made the point during a 12-page submission as the court issued an order that rejected a lawsuit over Trump's blocking of certain Twitter users from commenting on his posts before his account was taken down. The Supreme Court said the lawsuit ultimately should be dismissed as Trump isn't in office anymore and was blocked from using Twitter, coming after the Second Circuit Court of Appeals had ruled against Trump. Okay, so he is actually he's reacting to something that occurred in a case, so that actually makes a lot more sense. I thought maybe he just said it in a press conference or something like that, or mentioned it to somebody in an interview. But no, he's specifically talking about a case that was before the Supreme Court, so that actually makes a lot more sense. Today, digital platforms provide avenues for historically unprecedented amounts of speech, including speech by government actors. Also unprecedented, however, is the control of so much speech in the hands of a few private parties, Thomas wrote on Monday. We will soon have no choice but to address how our legal doctrines apply to highly concentrated, privately owned information structures such as digital platforms. Thank you, Clarence Thomas. Wow. And he puts it so eloquently as well. He puts it so beautifully and eloquently. I mean, honestly, like there's this, you're talking about like racial stuff in America all the time. Like you're always hearing about how white people are racist and stuff like that. But like, there's a lot of dumb white people. There's a lot of dumb white people. And there's a lot of brilliant black people, right? There's a lot of brilliant white people. There's a lot of dumb black people. But we always tend to see in the media these black activists and these white suburban housewives telling us all that we're all racist and we all hate black people and all this kind of stuff. But the reality is I grew up with people like Clarence Thomas on the TV, and they were people that I looked up to and respected and I liked, and I had no thought in my head like, oh, black people are dumb, right? The only time you conceive of that as a thing, at least for me, is when Democrats are telling me that's what I think, right? Democrats are telling me that I hate black people and stuff like that. Somebody like him is such an impressive guy, or Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is, I think, one of my favorite all-time conservatives. He's just such a smart man, such an awesome guy. And or Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza is Indian, I don't sit there and I go, oh, Dinesh D'Souza. I mean, he's really smart and everything, but he's Indian. I mention Dinesh D'Souza to you all the time. I'm constantly like quoting him and talking about stuff that he's saying. I probably don't talk about Thomas Sowell as much to you, but I watch a lot of his videos and I read a lot of his stuff and love that man. And Clarence Thomas, also another one, just a great guy. And we were just talking about Ben Carson the other day. I guess it was with, it wasn't with you. I was talking to, what's his name? Who did I interview the other day?
Scott
Pressler. Yeah.
You mean yesterday?
Scott Pressler. Quiet. I have problems. I don't think so good. Oh, you got to adjust again? But anyway, there's so many brilliant people of so many different colors, different races and stuff. You going to break the mic? And again, this comes down to the difference between how conservatives perceive people and how leftists perceive people. Leftists all tend to perceive people by their groups. Conservatives tend to perceive people by their individual attributes. And that's one of the reasons why I love being the conservative. It's such a much more sensible way of living. Let's see here. And this is a perfect example of a very smart guy just saying something brilliant that everybody can respect, I think. Thomas also
cool.
noted there are arguments suggesting digital platforms such as Twitter or Facebook that are sufficiently akin to common carriers or places of accommodation to be regulated in this manner. I actually wish I could write as brilliantly as he does. I mean, it's such brilliant writing. Are sufficiently akin to common carriers or places of accommodation to be regulated in this manner. I love that. Thomas made references to the respective owners of Facebook and Google by name: Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin. Am I saying that name right? Sergey Brin. Although both companies are public, one person controls Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and just two control Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, he wrote. Thomas agreed that, there's also the Gestapo that runs YouTube as well. I forgot that woman's name, but whatever. She's horrible. Because even though they're under Google, I think they do have some degree of autonomy about how they, but maybe not. Maybe it's all controlled by these guys. Thomas agreed that Trump's Twitter account did resemble a constitutionally protected public forum in certain aspects. He noted that it seems rather odd to say that something is a government forum when a private company has unrestricted authority to do away with it, possibly referring to Twitter's ban against Trump following the January 6th incident. He makes such a good point, because if we have to say that legally politicians are not allowed to block people on Twitter because it's a public forum, then how can we say that Twitter has the right to block politicians from their website?
Well, they're a private organization.
Exactly.
They can do anything they want.
But Trump's Twitter account is a private Twitter account. You can make that argument as well.
Well, it's complicated.
No, it's not complicated. It's simple. It's a public forum. They're not publishers. Therefore, they're not allowed to editorialize. That's exactly what they do. And so, they do need to be regulated completely. Any control Mr. Trump exercised over his account greatly paled in comparison to Twitter's authority dictating in its terms of service to remove the account at any time for any or no reason, he added. Twitter exercises authority to do exactly that. I mean, he makes such a sound argument that it's almost impossible to contradict it. It's so unbelievably brilliant. And I've talked about this many times on the show, but I've never expressed it quite as clearly as that. And I think part of the problem for me is that I kind of work from this fundamental place of logic, reason, and rationality, whereas he's coming from, from a legal background. He's a lawyer and then a judge and then a Supreme Court justice. I mean, I assumed he was a lawyer at some point back when he was in diapers. But yeah. I mean, the man is a brilliant legal mind, and he's able to craft an argument in more legal terms that I think is actually even more convincing than anything I could possibly say. So, yeah, big ups to Clarence Thomas, whom I think is the favorite Supreme Court justice of conservatives, which, again, flies in the face of this idea that conservatives are horribly racist, because we love people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. All right. Is this the last story? Yeah. Second to last story. We're almost there, darling. We're almost there. She wants to go to her friend's place to play a game.
No.
She's upset with me.
You said we'll be done by 7.
We will. We're getting there. We're getting there.
It's 7.
Okay. Can you read the next story, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hunter Biden smoked Parmesan cheese to get high.
Yeah. How weird is this story? So, Hunter Biden. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.